I'm Randy Ellis. I'm here today with State Representative Gary Bands of Midwest City, and he's Executive Director of Oklahoma Honor Flights. And we're here today to talk a little bit about the tremendous good that the Oklahoma Honor Flights has done, and that they're close to being able to wind down a little bit. Gary, tell me a little bit about the accomplishments of Oklahoma Honor Flights today.
Randy, I appreciate the opportunity to come in and share with you a little bit about the Honor Flight story. As you well know, the World War II Memorial was dedicated in May of 2004. There was a national organization that began out of Springfield, Ohio in 2005, and it was started with the sole purpose of making sure that our World War II community was able to see the memorial that was put together for their benefit nationally before it was too late, before they were gone. And it was based on the idea that unless somebody intervened on their behalf, a lot of them would not see it, because it was erected 6 decades after their service. The Oklahoma version of that, our relationship with the national organization, had its beginning in late 2008, early 2009. No less than a half a dozen different entities, individuals, people came together and coalesced around the opportunity that we had to stand up an organization to act on behalf of our community of World War II veterans in Oklahoma. The fall of 2009, we started our organization. Hung out our shingle, started talking to people about our mission, and we're started on the basis that we would never go into debt on this kind of an endeavor, that once we had the resources in place, we would schedule flights. Our first flight was scheduled and taken on May of 2010, and this last June the 10th, we took our 20th flight out of Tulsa. We have 2 more flights scheduled this fall, September the 16th and October the 21st, both out of Midwest City, Oklahoma City here.
And how many veterans today have you been able to take to Washington, D.C. on this?
Our total veterans that have been served in this capacity on those first 20 flights is 1,846. With the 2 flights we have scheduled this fall and the 82 veterans that are scheduled to go on each one of those, we will be over 2,000, a little over 2,000 veterans will have been able to make an all-expense paid trip. The lion's share of those have been World War II veterans. The last 2 or 3 flights, in order to fill our charter, we've not had enough World War II applications on our waiting list, so we have taken some Korean era veterans.
And I understand there's some of the board members and other people would like to have it extended and serve other veterans of other wars and continue on in that capacity, but that you and others that originated think it's probably time to maybe wind this down, and you're supportive of that mission, but tell me a little bit about what you have going in that regard.
Well, we're governed by a board of directors, and we are at that point. I don't know that we are at the end. I think we can probably see the end from where we are. As I mentioned earlier, we have the 2 flights scheduled yet this fall. They are charter flights. All of our charters have gone with Miami Air. We take 168 people on each of those flights. 82 of them are veterans now, because we go in a one-on-one capacity. On our early flights, we were taking over 100 on each flight, because we had such a huge backlog of World War II veteran applications, and we'd only take about 60 or 65 guardians. Well, in that case, some of the guardians had a responsibility for 2 veterans, and we very quickly understood at that point that we needed that one-on-one supervision, because we did have one, I think on flight 12 or 13, that got away from us for a little bit and was unaccounted for at our time in D.C. So now we're taking about 82 or 83 on each of the flights. That will bring our total to a little over 2,000 for these flights. But that original mission of serving the World War II community, we definitely have accomplished that. With our 2 flights this fall, all of the applicants that we have on file right now who are World War II will have had an opportunity to go on those flights. Our board has made a couple of decisions that kind of move us in the direction of finalizing our operations. Number one, we're going to redirect and modify our approach. From the very beginning, our approach has been to take as many as we could handle and manage, both on this end and in DC at a time. And so we chartered, had the charter approach, and we filled 3 big 56 passenger buses on the other end, and that's just the way we've been doing it. There's an awful lot of liability that's at stake when you have 82 veterans that are a highly fragile group of folks that are in their late 80s and early 90s. And we've been very fortunate not to have had very many specific incidents, medical in particular. But that liability is a weight that we have to evaluate. So our approach will probably be modified to take smaller groups. And we've also made a decision on our board to not accept applications after the 1st of November. But we still have an application base, and we still feel an obligation to find a way to honor those applicants if we can.
Sure.
So moving forward, we will redirect that focus, again, making sure that we get all of our World War II guys there, and then the Korean era veteran applicants we have. We haven't had very many applications from the Vietnam era because that's my generation. Mm-hmm. I served during that period. I was drafted during that period of time. Did not go to Vietnam. I went to Korea instead for my overseas isolated tour for 13.5 months. But it's my generation that's been taking these World War II veterans, and like I said, an awful lot of that generation has also been able to participate in the program, albeit in a little bit different capacity.
Okay, and your intention is then would be, once all the World War II veterans have been able to take their flights, to wind down your organization. Your board indicated it's supportive of people who might want to continue it for beyond, and have even I guess, authorized a $5,000 grant to help them get started. Is that right?
Our board did take action at our last board meeting to authorize an incentive grant for somebody that wanted to start an additional 501c3 to pick up and expand that opportunity to extend it indefinitely for veterans. All veterans deserve the attention and respect, and unfortunately it was the Vietnam era guys that did not get the kind of reception when they returned home that it was due them, and the sacrifice and that they made on the behalf of our country. But the original group that came together to form Oklahoma Honor Flights feels like it has accomplished its mission, and we had a preparation stage, we've had a participation stage, and we're going to enter into what we will refer to as a preservation stage. And that preservation stage really is not about our organization, but it's about how Oklahoma rose to the occasion, and before it was too late, figured out a way to bring that honor that was due that World War II generation and preserve those stories for future generations.
I think that's wonderful. Appreciate it, Gary. Thanks for your time today.
You bet. Thank you for the opportunity to share with you.